If you're watching this podcast on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to the channel. We like to see our subscribership. Is that a word? Subscribership go up. If it's not a word,
I think it's a word.
If not, I just made it up.
It's like athleticism.
Yeah, or you can go ahead and like the video as well. Start leaving your comments in the comment section. If you found this podcast through HuskerMax.com, I want to thank David Max and Joe Hudson for helping us distribute that podcast. If you're new to the podcast, and we learned this last week because of Rob's great doctoral wisdom, he goes, maybe every once in a while we got to reset the podcast. Now, if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know exactly what you're getting into. We've been doing this, Rob and I have been together for over 20 some years now. We're coming up on our 25th year together. We've actually been doing this podcast for probably close to 12 or 13 years, right?
I guess this would be our 13th.
Yeah, I think so. Well, so we talk about a lot of things. We'll get to football. A lot of you get pissed off because we don't get to football fast enough. But Rob walks in today and he goes, well, it's a 3-beer podcast. It's a 3-beer podcast. What'd you start with today, man?
I'm going with the Kros Strain, which, we've had, a couple of the local craft breweries have been really cool in terms of hooking us up. So Kros Strain got us hooked up. I'm going with the Somewhere in Middle America West Coast style IPA. So, which, by the way, if you like a good kind of like, so you got your hazies, you got your New England IPAs. If you like more of the old school,
it's kind of citrusy, right?
It's almost like that piney. Okay. Which I say piney, and then I'm gonna lapse over to like one of the classic West Coast style is Pliny the Elder. That's one of your California beers, but it's a great one.
Pliny the Elder?
Yeah, it's named after some king.
Okay.
I think it's like some Viking king. I feel bad. I might have to Google this.
You would have done well in the Viking world, by the way. You had the size and the strength. You would have done well in the Viking.
Dude, I'm good at swinging an axe.
Yeah, I could see that. I can see that. So you've got
I like to raid the British Isles. It's like, there you go.
Yeah.
I could have made that work.
So you've got the West Coast IPA. You're going to follow that up with what, a fairy nectar?
Well, we got the double dry hopped fairy nectar, and then because they hooked us up as well, we got the Corn Coast, which is this will be kind of interesting. It's their English Pale Ale, which is one of the windsurfing on the. Okay, it's spelled Thame. It's the Thames.
The Thames, yes.
Is that the Thames?
Yeah, I think that's the way. What's his name in Mary Poppins pronounced it?
The Thames.
The Thames. Dick Van Dyke, he's about to be 100 years old, man. That dude.
My wife's got British relatives.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's some, and it's kind of a Danes who settled in Great Britain kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, I'd have to ask her. I'm sure she would confirm that for me. That is the Thames. But anyway, yeah, so it's windsurfing on the Thames from Corn Coast. It's their English Pale Ale. It's going to be kind of interesting. Cool can design too, which Kros Strain always does cool can design.
So I'm willing to put a bet here because you said it's a 3-beer podcast. I'm willing to bet it's going to be a 4 or 5-beer podcast. I could be wrong.
If we start previewing the Iowa game.
Well, we're going to preview it. We'll get to it.
Okay, so here we go. So it's Gaius Plinius Secundus, known in English as Pliny the Elder, was a Roman author, naturalist, scientist, naval, and army commander of the early Roman Empire, and friend of the Emperor Vespasian. This is...
so he wasn't a king?
No, he would have been... Roman leader, I guess you could say. He was military commander. So this would have been, they believe he was born in 23 or 24. It used to be BC. Now it's CE.
No, it's BC.
Okay. I'll say
it's BC. Don't confuse people, man. It's BC and AD.
So 23 or 24 BC to 79 AD. Pliny wrote the Encyclopedia Naturalis Historia, or Natural History.
Did you read that?
I can't say I have. A comprehensive 37-volume work covering a vast array on topics of human knowledge in the natural world, which became the editorial model for encyclopedias.
There you go, folks. Not only do you get football, beer, but you get ancient Roman history on this podcast.
Knowledge, which now the next thing I'm going to look up is Pliny the Elder beer.
Did you find it?
Yeah, Russian River Brewing Company. There we go.
Okay,
so.
There you go. Rob's got it all. Rob is a wealth of knowledge about everything. That's why he's a doctor. Not only is he a real doctor, an anesthesiologist, but he's a doctor of. You could have been a doctor of education. You could have been a doctor of brewing. You could have been a doctor of everything. I think when you have
I just like to watch people while they're sleeping.
Yeah, see, and it's that God complex. It's that God complex. I know what you're doing there.
Killing me, dude.
Yeah, well, but you know what you also like when you're in surgery? You like comfortable feet.
Well, that is true. True.
You like comfortable feet, and that's why when Rob walks around the hospital and he walks around his neighborhood, different pair of shoes, because you got to have clean pair of shoes in the surgery room, he's wearing Gdefys. When you see me out and about walking the dog, I'm wearing a pair of Gdefy shoes. And we do that, Rob, because it makes your feet feel good.
They feel great.
Yeah.
Which I am like the... Oh, what was this model I got?
I don't know. You have so many. You have been a really, really good.
There we go. So it's the Accelerate's the one that's kind of like my current favorite.
So I was
XLR number 8. So Accelerate, get it?
Yeah, I get it.
But that's like my favorite make, because it looks like a running shoe, but I kind of use it as sort of my everyday shoe.
And nothing wrong with that. And I was talking to the good folks from Gdefy last week, and I said, hey, they wanted to make sure everything's going well. And I said, yeah. I said, hey, do we sell shoes for you? And they were like, oh yeah. It was oh yeah,
because I look at the shoe rack in the men's locker room at the hospital. There's like Gdefys in there.
That's what we like to hear. And doctors wear them. Everyday people wear them because they have the VersaShock technology, which redistributes pressure points and stuff. Makes your knees feel better. Makes your ankles feel better. Makes your whole body feel better. And if you want to wear a pair of Gdefys, go to Gdefy.com. That's Gdefy.com. Gdefy.com. Insert the promo code Doc Talk 50 when you check out. Right now, you're going to get $30 off and free shipping. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'm not. And my pair is about 2 years old now, and it looks brand new. They wear fine. They don't wear out.
When they send them, I'm still wearing my original pair as well. I've bought a few more since. They send you a pair of replacement insoles with them. And
I know.
Then you get like an insole spacer. So if you're like, I need a little more cushion, a little more support on the inside, you get a replacement insoles, an insole spacer. The other thing is man, they got great arch support, which I got horrible arches, which predisposes you to plantar fasciitis, which if you've ever had that, it's brutally painful. Gdefy, it's one of the few brands I've worn that have corrected my arch enough that it's kept the plantar fasciitis at bay.
So we just don't talk about Gdefy. We wear Gdefy, and we want you to wear Gdefy. Again, Gdefy.com. When you check out, use the promo code DocTalk50. That's all caps, DocTalk50 at Gdefy.com. Did you notice I dressed up for you today?
Dude, you look nice.
I cleaned up.
Date day?
No. Matter of fact, I was a bachelor all weekend. I went to mass today. I went to church.
You had a date with God.
I had a date with God. I did.
Do you feel...
It was fine.
Does your soul feel better?
I do like going to church. I don't go all the time. I've slacked in the last several months, but mass was good today. It was really good.
Good deal.
Went with Owen. I went with Owen. I went with Lizzie. Went with her parents.
Very cool.
Went with Aunt Jeanette's mom and dad. So it was a good day. But then I'm like, well, I'm already dressed up, so I might as well just stay dressed up for Rob. I don't want to slum down.
I get that a lot, usually from dudes, but hey, that's okay.
So it's a 3-beer day because Nebraska went to Penn State and got beat 37-10.
They got beat down.
You think?
Good. That was, and it started off when Emmit Johnson busted that run,
52 yards.
I'm like, ooh, we got a ball game. And then when okay, by the way, I'm all for the decision to go for it on the 4th and 1 on that opening drive. Perfectly good with that. I'm fine with the play call. I'm Probably would have gone with a sneak or a tush push kind of thing. So I'm not sure I got a big problem with the play call either. Would have loved if they got it. But I mean, within that first drive, I'm sitting here going, okay, we got a ball game here. God, and then just the wheels fell off the bus. I mean, it just got ugly after that.
Do you blame the defense? I mean, they gave up so many yards rushing, Rob. They gave up 231 yards.
Yeah, and I hate saying I blame one unit or the other unit or trying to put it on a specific position group, for instance, but I'm kind of going to do this. I blame the lines. The offensive line didn't show up. The defensive line didn't show up. And I mean, Emmit still got his 100 yards. I mean, Emmit did Emmit stuff. Granted, half of that 100 came on one play, but it's still, he's the guy who I think he's been all year. He's been the best running back in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that.
But I mean, I almost kind of feel bad for the guy. Speaking of Penn State running backs, I call it's the Saquon Barkley effect. It's like, he's good. He was great at Penn State. You knew he was good when he was at the Giants, and then he goes to the Eagles. And in year 1 with the Eagles, he rushes for 2,000 yards, becomes one of 7 guys in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, and picks up a Super Bowl ring. And you're sitting there going like, oh, so that's what you can do with a good offensive line. And I'm looking at Emmit, and I'm just thinking, what would Emmit Johnson do behind Penn State's offensive line, or even better, Iowa's offensive line, Ohio State's offensive line, Michigan's offensive line? This would be like a 1,800 yard season, I think, if he had a really good offensive line.
I think, it'll be interesting to see what Emmett Johnson does. Does he come back for his senior year? Do they get enough NIL money to convince him? Does he go to the National Football League? I think it's one of two things. He stays at Nebraska, or he goes to the National Football League. Yeah,
and I think anymore these guys are sitting down, and I think it becomes just basic math. So they've got the committees now that'll sit down, they'll run the numbers and basically say, hey, if you go to the NFL, here's where these NFL GMs and scouts and everybody else, this committee that they have, predicts you'll be picked. So we're looking at the big picture of all the running backs, all the other players coming out this year. Here's where we think you're going to get drafted. You're going to get drafted in this range of picks. Here's the dollar amount you would be expected to sign for. And so you can take a look at that and say, okay, well, what am I getting in a NIL-wise if I stay another year versus go do that? So, and then you've got to weigh, and then there is kind of a risk assessment that you got to weigh in with that as well, too, because when you look at this, there is that risk of injury. You go to the NFL and you have a season-ending injury, you're going on injured reserve. So, not all, but excuse me.
Take a drink of beer.
Sorry, I need a sip of beer here. My throat's getting dry. You go to the NFL, you're going to get some degree of that contract. It's not all guaranteed. Chunk of it's going to be guaranteed, though. And so it's you stay in college, that's 1 year of money. So there is a risk in doing that, because if you do have a devastating injury and it affects your draft status, yeah, that can hurt you. So you do have to kind of take that into consideration as well. But for the most part, it's a mathematical question on whether he comes back or not. But I agree with you. He's either staying at Nebraska because I think Nebraska will pay him enough versus what somebody else would, or he goes to the NFL.
And the goal of every college player is to play in the National Football League. And now you can get feedback and all that stuff, whether or not you if it makes sense and where you're going to fall. Now,
the only other question would be is if he picks up a feeler from some other team. And again, I know it's against the rules. I know.
Oh, it happens all the time.
I know you're not supposed to contact guys or reach out. I mean, it's don't ask, don't tell kind of mentality here. But everybody does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he picks up on a feeler that Ohio State's interested, if a Michigan, a Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, somebody who's going to be in the hunt for a national title.
Because Nebraska is not going to be in the hunt for the national title next year.
And if he picks up that feeler and he's like, ooh, if I jump in the portal, I'm going to have a chance at one of these three teams and still make that kind of NIL money, I could see him upping and leaving then. I mean, if and I don't know, maybe the relationships in Lincoln are strong enough to keep him there, but I mean, guys like titles. All athletes do.
Well, he's got career rushing totals now of 2,243 yards. He's now in the top 25 on the rushing list at Nebraska. And Nebraska, if you go to the website,
which is pretty impressive.
It is,
considering 90% of that yardage has come this year.
So Nebraska, if you go to Huskers.com, has a thing where they're promoting Emmit Johnson for the Heisman Trophy. And I don't disagree with you. I do believe he is the best running back in the Big Ten Conference. Though with a 7-4 record, you're not going to win the Heisman Trophy. It's right to promote him. A school should promote a guy.
Totally get it.
But he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy.
No, and I mean, I think there always has been sort of that win component attached to
absolutely
Heisman. And so the interesting question would be, say, somebody like Sue, if Sue had been on a team that actually had an offense.
And he finished second. By the way, I had a Heisman vote at the time. I voted Ndamukong Suh for the number one in that list. I remember where I was. That's where I decided to quit television. True story. I was doing the Creighton George Mason game in Washington, D.C. The next night was the Heisman Trophy presentation. And I called my news director and I'm like, hey, I'm the only guy out here from Nebraska. Should I go up there and cover it? I got a $100 flight to New York. And they're like, it's not in the budget. I'm like, could be the biggest story in Nebraska history, and it could be one of the biggest stories in college football history. You have a defensive lineman that might win the Heisman Trophy, not in the budget. And I'm flying home. I'm like, if I got to fight for $100 for a budget item, this business is going nowhere, absolutely nowhere. But I digress, so I'm sorry. I just had to get that story out there.
Is anything on KM3 at 10:30 anymore?
Is anything on KMTV at all anymore?
Well, I really don't think so.
Yeah, honest to God, I haven't watched local news since I left local news. I shouldn't say that. I've watched it. I've never watched a full half-hour newscast since I left local news. I just can't do it.
Yeah, the problem is you get it all right.
You do. You get it right on your phone. Get it right on your computer.
Yeah.
So, So Emmit Johnson, Nebraska is promoting him for the Heisman. Not going to win it, but I'm glad they're promoting him because that's what you do to your players. And we talked about when you were the Big 8 athlete of the year, it goes through a promotion process. I mean, some guys got promoted for the Outland, some guys got promoted for the Heisman, some guys got promoted for the Lombardi. That's what schools do. What do you think of TJ Lateef yesterday? Last week we were bragging him up.
I thought okay.
I tell you, he didn't throw a pick. They didn't have any turnovers. He still looks better in the pocket than Dylan Raiola does.
I agree with that. I mean, now here's one thing I want to be really, really clear about. And I put this out in a tweet earlier today. Dylan Raiola was not Nebraska's problem. TJ Lateef is not Nebraska's problem. Our inability to have consistent offensive line and defensive line play is the problem. Our inability to stop a running attack is the problem. I mean, that's where the issue lies. And so I look at Lateef and I think, okay, I thought all things considered, which was playing against a really solid defense, which has played consistently better as the season's gone along. I mean, you even go back to earlier in the year, that Penn State defense was great against Oregon. I mean, they slowed Oregon way down. So that's what kept Penn State in that game against Oregon. I think it's the problem is not with the quarterback. And so I thought he looked pretty good, all things considered. That was a hell of a lot better defense than he's faced this year, because he's basically, in terms of consistent playing time played in 4 games now.
Yeah.
It's the Akron and Houston Christian.
And 2 games with meaningful, significant minutes where it mattered.
Exactly. And that's UCLA and Penn State. Yeah. UCLA, you saw what their defense was. It's a pretty mediocre defense. I think Penn State's got a very good defense. I would be curious to see, and this is pure kind of like just sports intellectualism, overthinking stuff. I'd be curious to see how TJ Lateef would have looked, again, with preparation and some more experience against, say, Cincinnati, for instance, which has a really good front 7. I mean, you've got a really good D-line. You've got a really good group of linebackers there. How would he have looked against that? Because I actually thought that was one of the better defenses, not the best, but one of the better defenses that Nebraska has faced this year. And so I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he was hampered a lot, mainly by a pass rush where the offensive line couldn't keep guys off of them. Avoided a few sacks. There was a few that, I mean, anybody's going to get crushed by.
Yeah, he got sacked 3 times.
Yeah, and I think that number would have easily been double if it was Raiola back there. Now, and again, that's not a knock on Raiola. Raiola's got a different skill set than TJ Lateef, and it doesn't mean that Raiola is the worst of the 2 choices for Nebraska at quarterback. I'm just saying he's going to be more susceptible to a really good pass rush than Lateef is. Doesn't mean Lateef's a better quarterback, but they've got their strengths and weaknesses.
Lateef was 21 of 37, 187 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. He didn't throw an interception either.
Which, and again, percentage-wise, I mean, he's completed there over 50% of his passes. It's not horrible.
No.
I mean, it's really not. I mean, now you got the redshirt freshman kid from Penn State who was, like 92% completion rate in that game.
You know, I'll give Penn State credit. It would have been easy just to quit. Your head coach is gone. This season has not gone.
They didn't quit.
No, they did not. In any game, they did not.
Who did they end the season with? I forgot to look.
Oh, is it Rutgers next week? I don't know. Owen, if you could do a quick search for us, that'd be great.
If it's Rutgers, I think Rutgers is screwed.
You think? Yeah, Rutgers got blown out by Ohio State, but I don't know who.
Yeah, but Ohio State blows everybody out. It's, I'm pulling it up right now. Yep, right.
It is Rutgers. Wow. See, you guys needed Google. All you needed was my brain. You needed was my brain.
Battle of 5 and 6 teams. See, here's the thing. I'm looking at Penn State right now going, okay, they kind of shored some stuff up. The offense is playing far, far better. Okay, this is going to be kind of tough for, I mean, maybe for some Penn State fans to hear. That redshirt freshman, I can't even say his last name, Grunenfeld.
Sounds good. I don't know. You got the Bohemian genes.
Bohunk. Okay. Here, I'll pull up the box score here.
It's right in front of you. You know that, right?
That is true. You print Ethan Grunkemeyer. So Grunkmeyer,
11 of 12, 181 yards and a touchdown.
15-yard average per pass. I mean, that's solid. I mean, he basically did against us what TJ Lateef did against UCLA.
Because they didn't need him to do much because Caton Allen went for 162 yards.
God, that was just brutal. I mean, 230 overall.
230 overall on the ground.
So, I mean, that was tough to watch. And that's, again, I'm looking at that and it's just, our defensive line does not have the ability to sit in there against a good running team.
Well, then you better get ready for this weekend.
And last year they did. Well, and I made that point in this tweet that I put out that I think Iowa is basically Penn State 2.0. I think they are a little bit better version. I don't know if they've got the athleticism that Penn State has.
They beat Penn State, though.
They did. I think Iowa is and has been playing better as a team. They've been playing a better overall brand of football than Penn State's been playing.
Back up and punt. They were up until yesterday or on Saturday because they looked like total dog shit against Michigan State.
Which I will say, I didn't even look to see how that game go.
Iowa was down 17-7 going in the fourth quarter, ended up winning 20-17.
Which is, I mean, to regain momentum when you're down like that. Now, here's my question. Do you think that's a little bit of a hangover effect after the USC
No, I think I think Iowa does a magnificent job of playing to the level of its competition. Meaning that if it play, I mean, they took Indiana to the wire, they took Oregon to the wire, they took USC to the wire. Then you play a team like Michigan State, and which doesn't have a Big Ten win, and you play to their level. It's frustrating from my standpoint. And if you're new to the podcast,
in other words, Nebraska should be just fine.
Well, and you know, against Oregon, against USC, I'm like, I think Iowa's going to cruise against Nebraska. Then they play yesterday. I'm like, well, don't jump. And if you're mad, going, what are you talking about Iowa for? If you're new to the podcast, I grew up in Iowa. I'm an Iowa fan. I've never hid the fact. This is the one time a year that Rob and I go back and forth, and people of this podcast really get pissed because I talk about them too much. But I will say this, Rob, Michigan State made a crucial mistake yesterday. If you want to beat Iowa, do not kick or punt the ball to Caden Weegan. They did it 3 times yesterday. He's the best punt returner in the country, hands down. Hands down.
So they punted to him. What happened?
He took one back for 50, got taken out. Then he ran a touchdown back, and then he took another one back for like 30 or 40. Give it. And what does that do? Gives you field position.
So 3 punts, he gave him outstanding field position, or on 2 out of the 3, and then on the 30 score.
Scores.
Yeah.
And
it's so interesting. I'm wearing my Lehigh hat because your kid goes to school someplace and all of a sudden you're following all their sports.
And let me tell you this. So Cooper DeJean 2 years ago was Iowa's punt returner, right? He just broke Tim Dwight's record of punt returns. He now has 6 on a career in 2 years. That's a pretty darn good number.
That's a really good number.
And so you sit there going, so if anybody kicks to Caden Weegan, you deserve to lose. You really deserve to lose. Michigan State finally figured it out, and they looked like they were going to go for it on 4th down. They just had their quarterback punt it because they didn't want Caden Weegan back there. They had to keep him honest.
No, my reference to Lehigh, so they were playing Lafayette. It's for the Patriot League title. And it's big rivalry game. And again, we're talking East Coast FCS schools here. Lehigh, both Lehigh and Lafayette, really, really good kick return teams.
Really?
Yeah, they're outstanding. And so the strategy for both teams to prevent each other from getting a kick return in a game that was very close. It was basically a complete shootout the whole game. To prevent each other from getting a big kick return, the entire game, their kickoffs were these just arching high pooch kicks that basically they forced each other to fair catch every single kickoff.
Just get as high as you can.
As high as you freaking can. And I mean, and the opponent's getting it like between the 20, I mean, at worst the 25-yard line, but they were so high. I mean, there's a number of times the guys are fair catching it on like the 31-yard line. But everybody was basically like, we cannot risk a big kick return in a game of this caliber. We're just going to pooch it every single time and force a fair catch. So, it was one of the more interesting special teams back and forth.
But you're better to be safe than sorry, right?
Either that or get a better kick. And I'm talking about like everybody, not Lehigh, Lafayette, Nebraska, Iowa. Get a special teams that's really good at coverage.
Now, I will say this. I think this is going to be a close game coming up this weekend, just because these two teams seem to play close games. Iowa has a solid run game. Kamari Moulton, Jazz Patterson, and Mark because they have a great offensive line.
Got a really good O-line.
And Logan Jones, who's probably going to win the Remington Award, he's a Council Bluffs Lewis Central kid. And they've got a really solid offensive line. But they don't have a passing game. Mark Gradowski, who transferred from South Dakota State, he can run with the football. He's kind of like a Tim Tebow type guy when he runs. I'm not calling him Tim Tebow, but I just want to paint that picture in your mind. He can't throw the ball worth a crap. They can't pass.
And I'm trying to figure out if this plays in Nebraska's favor or not. I mean, Nebraska already, and again, I understand Penn State was 11 of 12 passing. Penn State didn't beat Nebraska with their passing attack. They beat Nebraska with their ground game, and it really opened things up for their passing game to have a very good but limited. You throw the ball 12 times. It was a very limited passing attack, but it was highly efficient because the ground game was so damn good. And that's the thing I wonder about with this Nebraska team, where I'm trying to find a silver lining here, I guess.
I mean, Rule seemed pretty pissed after the game yesterday. I mean, he was like, we got to move on. We got a big game next week. It sucked. I got to get out of here. I mean, you
get your ass kicked that bad. Nobody wants to sit there and talk about it.
Yeah, you can't even polish a turd with those numbers last night.
There was none. I mean, I understand. I think he was happy to highlight a guy like Emmit. And I mean, even Lateef, like I said, Lateef's not the problem. Any quarterback would have had a rough night with that offensive line performance in terms of the pass rush that he had to put up with. That's tough to have to deal with for any quarterback. He seemed a little bit off in terms of his accuracy, but at the same time, too, the pressure was there when it wasn't again with UCLA. So, when I look at him against Iowa, when I look at Nebraska against Iowa, more on the defensive side of the ball, what I wonder is Nebraska good enough against the pass that they're just, can you sit back and not worry about it and just no matter what? I mean, if it's 3rd and 17, does Nebraska still line up and load the box with 7?
I would.
And force Iowa to beat you with a pass.
I mean, I would. If I was coaching against Iowa, it's not that I'm an X's and O's guy. I mean, people listen to this podcast know I don't know shit about X's and O's. But I would say that I would make Mark Gronowski beat you with his arm. I would. I mean, Jacob Gill's a decent receiver, but the truth is Gronowski cannot go deep. He hasn't utilized the tight ends as much as he probably should have, and that's what Iowa's been good for in the past.
Who do they have at tight end?
Gosh, I even forget who it is. I'm serious. I mean, they've been used that little. I should know this because
very un-Iowa-like.
I know. So, but I would make, if I'm Nebraska, I'm going to say you load 7 in the box, you stop the run, and make them beat you with the pass. Now, if they beat you with the pass, then they beat you with the pass. But at the end of the day, your odds of stopping Iowa in its passing game is a lot better than your odds of stopping their running game if you're just going to line up and play your base defense. So, hey, don't forget that if you need legal advice, and every once in a while you're going to need legal advice in your world, you can always call our good friend, the resident Doc Talk lawyer, who is Connor Orr, and the Orr Law Group. Family law, family estate planning, litigation. He can solve, and his group of lawyers can solve about any single legal problem that you have. So what do? Well, you go to orlawgrp.com. That's orlawgrp.com when you need a lawyer. Whether that, and you know what, even if you need advice, sometimes you don't need a lawyer, but you might think you need a lawyer and say, hey, Connor, do I need a lawyer here? And the truth is he's an honest lawyer. He's an upstanding lawyer. You can't say that about all lawyers. And he'll say, you probably don't need this. Just go ahead and do this. Or he'll say, yep, you do need a lawyer, and I can help you. That's the Orr Law Group at orlawgrp.com. And the holidays right around the corner. Black Friday coming up. You might want to go shopping at Husker Hounds, because if you want to get the Nebraska fan in your life something that's really red, that is big red, then go ahead and go to Husker Hounds. 2 locations in the Omaha area. Visit our buddy Scotty Strunk over there at Husker Hounds, the Superstore at 84th and Center. Whether you need clothes, sweatshirts, lawn ornament, decals, anything they have, anything you can imagine, Scotty's going to have it. Again, Husker Hounds, and you can shop online at huskerhounds.com. So besides Nebraska lose, let's keep it on the Iowa game. If my feelings don't change that much as an Iowa fan if they were to lose this game. I personally don't want them to lose.
Nebraska or Iowa?
Now, hold on. If Iowa loses, I'll go, well, it's a typical Kirk Ferentz. You either go 7 wins or you go 8 wins, and Iowa fans have been pretty accustomed to that.
What's Iowa's current record?
7-4.
All right.
So both Nebraska and Iowa are 7-4. Obviously, 8 wins looks better, but after 27 years of kind of this stuff, you get used to it, right? If Nebraska loses to Iowa, And they only ended up with 7 regular season wins. Is this season a success? Is year 3 of Matt Rule a success if they lose to Iowa and finish 7-5?
I'm calling it a wash.
A wash?
I mean, and I consider that in the sense of, in my mind, it's the same as what we had last year.
Okay.
They went, 7-6 last year?
But this is the Rule third year where he's supposed to be in double-digit wins.
And I get that. I don't feel like... There's some dynamics here that I think have worked against him getting better this year. And I'm not sure I'm wholly critical of Rule.
That's fair.
In terms of the head coaching job he's done, although what I'm going to say next falls back on him as a head coach, because I don't think Rule is the main guy who is coaching offense day in and day out. He's not coaching defense day in and day. He's a delegator.
He's a CEO.
We've talked about this already, that he's going to delegate most of that stuff to the coordinators, and the coordinators to the assistants. And so I look at this and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, where am I at then as far as what Nebraska's doing from a coordinator standpoint? I'm just not sold on Butler on defense. I thought we downgraded when Tony White and Terrence Knighton left to go to Florida State.
By the way, they just got another year. Did you see that? Mike Norvell was given a free pass to 2026.
I'll be interested to see what they do, because I think those guys do a really, really good developmental job. And again, I'm not talking about Norvell. I'm talking about Tony White and Terrence Knighton.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here because it was funny, because I was reading a couple of tweets and people were like, we need to open up the pocketbooks and go get the best damn O-line and D-line coaches that we can find. And I'm sitting here going like, well, one of the best was here in Lincoln and now is in Tallahassee. And I understand Florida State has not had the season that Florida State has wanted. Or the season that we thought Florida State was going to have after the opening weekend when they knocked off Alabama. But I'm still sold on what I saw out of Nebraska's defensive line when you looked at when Tony Tuioti was there. It's always guys named Tony. When Tuioti was there, and what I saw from guys like Hutmacher and Ty Robinson, and then Tuioti leaves and goes to Oregon and is churns out NFL guys at Oregon. And I see all of a sudden Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher, it's like radio silence out of them for 2 years. And then Rule hits the door. He's got Terrence Knighton as his D-line coach. And all of a sudden, Hutmacher and Ty Robinson become just beasts. And you see this development come back. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, this Terrence Knighton guy is a pretty freaking good D-line coach. Last year, we had a pass rush. We stopped the run. Some of that was Tony White. Some of that was Terrence Knighton's development on the D-line. Some of it was having talent up front. And I'd be the first to tell you, having the talent, it was the Barry Switzer line. There's, you can have the X's and the O's, but you need the Jimmies and the Joes. Okay, you need the Jimmies and the Joes as well. And look at Ty Robinson. I mean, if we were watching earlier, he got the Dallas-Philly game going. Ty Robinson's playing for Philly. He's not a starter yet, but he's out there. He's getting his reps, and he's having a productive rookie season for the Eagles, which is one of the best teams in the NFL. And so it's like, I understand we had guys that in terms of pure talent were better, but we didn't have the development for a couple of years there. And all of a sudden, really good athletes like Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher had really, really mediocre levels of productivity on that D-line in that interim period between Tuioti and when Terrence Knighton got there. And all of a sudden, Knighton gets there, and they're playing, all of a sudden their defensive line is playing really, really good football again. And I really liked what I saw out of Ty Robinson again. And I'm like, all right, we got some defensive coaches again. We're seeing some development. We're seeing some teaching. We're seeing what you want to see from a coaching staff. And now I feel like we've lost that again.
So the X's and O's aren't there. And when I'm going to say X's and O's as far as development, do you think they have the Jimmies and the Joes? Is the talent there?
I don't know. I mean, the test of this would have been if Tony White and Terrence Knighton didn't leave and were still in Lincoln. And then you could see what Judy and Davis and the rest of these guys were capable of doing. But I don't know that. I mean, I haven't seen what I want to see out of those guys. And usually against a good offensive line, I see those guys getting pushed backwards. With a guy like Judy, where you got a dude who's like 6'5", 305, 310, getting pushed backwards kind of consistently on running downs, that's a little disturbing to me. Because I didn't see that with a Terrence Knighton coach, Nash Hutmacher, or a Terrence Knighton coach, Ty Robinson.
So you mentioned you're not impressed with Butler as a defensive coordinator. Are you impressed with Dana Holgorsen as the offensive coordinator? It's not as innovative as I thought it was going to be. And I was thinking Mike Leach. Maybe I was thinking Hal Mummy. Maybe I was thinking all this stuff. I thought there would be more. But
I thought we'd see a little more than what we have seen. Conversely, I think he's got 2 games under his belt now with a quarterback that
fits his system
better. Now, and again, this isn't a knock on Raiola. I mean, everybody wants to criticize one guy or the other. And I mean, all of a sudden you saw people coming out of the woodwork on social media last night during and after the game, like, well, this would have been a totally different game if we had Raiola.
No, it wouldn't have.
There. And I'm like, no, I think we would have had a similar amount of overall offensive productivity. I think we could have pushed the ball downfield through the air better with Raiola. Because I do think he's a really, really good passer. He is.
You would have had more turnovers.
I think we would have had double the sacks. I know that. That would have been a 6 or 7 sack game at least, I believe.
Yeah.
So it would have been a different game. I think the end result would have been pretty similar. How we got there, I think we would have run the ball less. And I think we would have relied upon more of a downfield passing game more. The bottom line is I still think we lose the game if Raiola's back there. So it's not a knock on Raiola. My concern is going to always be way more on the line play.
Was the Penn State game the worst game Nebraska's played all year?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Minnesota was
That's
by
fair.
Far, because Minnesota's not a very good team. And I can't wrap my head around it, but I don't think Penn State's a bad team. I mean, athletically, that's a pretty similar group of guys to what they had last year.
That went to the playoff.
That lost in the national semifinals.
Yes.
I mean, they won a couple of playoff games, for God's sakes. That's a good team. That's a really good group of athletes. One of the other tweets I had was talking about the running backs that Penn State has. And I'm sitting here going, how is Allen Penn State's all-time leading rusher? I know a lot of people were like, well, a lot of those guys played 3 years and went to the NFL. And I'm sitting here going like, I know, but you're thinking about a school that had Blair Thomas, Kurt Warner, Larry Johnson, Saquon, Keyjana Carter. I mean, it was just this.
It's a factory.
Holy cow. I mean, you think about, right now, somewhere Michael Severe's listening to this and smiling. You think about, I almost made you puke by saying Michael Severe, didn't I?
No, I like Michael.
I love Michael.
He's a numbers nerd. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
he is. He's a Penn State. He is a Penn State guy through and through, which I'm trying to figure out from how does a Louisiana kid become a Penn State guy? Anyway, I'm looking at this and I'm just, God, that school has churned out more really, really good. And I understand you can go through who are Nebraska's top 15 best running backs of all time, and it's an impressive list.
It is, but you have to go back a long time.
But I mean, you don't have all of these guys were NFL studs too for Penn State. And I'm just like, how does that place churn out running backs like they have over the last 40, 50 years, going back to the 70s? I mean, wasn't Franco Harris a Penn State guy?
Yeah.
I mean, let's throw Franco Harris into the mix.
Yeah, he was an okay running back.
He did okay.
Did okay.
He's got some Super Bowl rings. I'm sitting here going like, how does that school churn out all of these amazing running backs? And I guarantee you 10 years from now, if you ask who is Penn State's all-time leading rusher, the average Penn State fan isn't going to say Allen first.
I would agree with you.
So anyway, it's impressive to me what they've been able to do with that guy in the time frame that he's been there. But it's the bottom line is they're still a better team. I mean, the two teams that just flat out kicked Nebraska's ass this year just took us to the freaking woodshed. Minnesota and Penn State.
One you can accept, one you can't.
And I can look at Penn State and go, okay, you know what? That's a really, really good team. I don't know what happened from here up, which if you're listening and not watching the YouTube video, I'm going basically from my nose upward. It seems like it's all mental. And I don't know if it's they lost that Oregon game and they had their hearts set on this undefeated season with a national championship.
I don't think it was the Oregon game. I think it was the UCLA game that messed them up. I think that after that, they realized there's no chance.
And maybe that is true, but I mean, I think the UCLA game is due to the Oregon
game.
Fair.
That's fair.
I mean, that was a psychological gut punch. I watched that game. And it was a great game. It was double overtime, couple of heavyweights going at it. And but my other thought then is it a James Franklin thing? And just, God, did his messaging just go stale? Did he wear out his welcome? I've heard from some people he's not a likable guy. On the flip side, I've heard a lot of these Penn State recruits want to follow him to
Virginia Tech.
To Va Tech, yeah. So I don't know. I can't wrap my head around that one at least. But I think most of Penn State's season this year, the majority of the reason that they have 6 losses is because of it's all mental. That is not a bad football team. And even losing Drew Aller, I'm looking at this redshirt freshman, this Grunkmeyer, and I'm like, that kid was completely unfazed the entire game. He was that was the picture of just, hey, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to play within the realm of what the coaches want me to do. And we're going to have a really smooth.
Just don't make mistakes.
Yeah. Good, well-managed game. Goes 11-12. And again, I know it's not a lot of passing attempts and you don't have to stress a whole hell of a lot when you've got that running game to back you up, but holy hell, dude. I mean, again, still redshirt freshman going 11-12. I mean, that's like a true freshman going 13-15. I mean, so by far and away, the worst game that Nebraska played was against Minnesota. And it's because both those games, Nebraska got taken to the woodshed. It's just against Minnesota, it was by a bunch of freaking chumps. That is not a good football team. And I'm not sitting here going, Nebraska is. We're still in that middle of the ground borderline.
You're a good team. You're not great.
Yeah, the threshold, the margin for error with this Nebraska team, it's a little wider than it was a year or 2 or 3 or 5 ago. But that margin for error is still thin enough that if you don't show up with your A+ game week in and week out, you're going to get your ass.
Well, I'll say this will be the game on Friday will dictate a lot of fans' moods because there's hatred between the two fan bases. This has grown into the rivalry that I always wanted it to be when Nebraska joined the Big Ten. Iowa's had their number for a while now, and I take great pride in that. I know it's not going to last forever, but I will say this, that if Iowa wins, and I think they will, that will be, well, we'll get to final scores later on. I think it's, and if they don't win, it wouldn't shock me either, especially after the way that they played against Michigan State. But that will bother Husker fans for a long time. That they'll look at this season as a disappointment if you go 7-5 and you lose to Iowa again. They will.
Yes, I would. I mean, I kind of started off going, this was going to be a 9-3 year, and then I kind of adjusted.
Hell, I overshot again. I said 10-2. I don't know shit.
Yeah, I kind of readjusted it and bounced it down to 8-4. After I think game 3 or game 4, I was like, this is an 8-4 team. They got to win. I mean, obviously they got to win to get to 8-4 for the regular season. I don't, in terms of overall disappointment, if they make it, I shouldn't say if, Nebraska's going to go to a bowl game.
Here's where
my question is, hold on. Let's say they go to a bowl and go 8-5. Am I still disappointed? I'm like, kind of depends on what bowl and who they play.
Here's what I'm disappointed in Nebraska. I don't think they look any better this year than they did last year.
I would agree. It's basically it's a pretty similar product on the field.
Yeah, I thought there would be bigger strides.
I think we've done a few things better on offense. We've done a few things not as good on offense. I 100% feel like we took a step back on defense this year. And I guess that's kind of why I said I'm looking at Rule and I'm looking at these coordinators, and that's kind of a dynamic that I've got here. That I guess my question is if we had Tony White and Terrence Knighton still in town, working with these guys, further development within the scope of that defense, new talent, it's a new group of faces. You've lost some really good football players, but you've still got some other guys back. I think the defensive productivity is better this year, and I think it equates to at least one more win than what Nebraska would have gotten this year otherwise.
I will say this. You can't lose sight of this. You want to know why Iowa's consistent over the last 27 years? It's because they develop players. You can get all the athletes you want. Don't just assume because 5 stars go to Alabama or Ohio State, they aren't being developed there. They are. I mean, they're still developmental programs.
The transfer portal is littered with former 5-star recruit.
Yeah. I don't care about how many stars you have.
There's a shit ton of former 4- and 5-star guys that are in the portal every year.
It means zilch.
And end up down at FCS schools because that's where they would have been best at to begin with.
So, he wasn't a 5-star, wasn't a 4-star, but the big news this past week was Raiola's brother has decommitted from Nebraska. He's a 3-star recruit, whatever that means. But it got people going, what's going on? Does that mean the uncle's going to get fired? Does that mean brother's going to transfer? I don't know if you can read that much in. Maybe the uncle getting fired is something, but I don't know if you can read anything with Dylan.
That's a tough one to try and figure out. And it's one of those, I love the rumor mill just because it's interesting.
It's like a soap opera, man. You got to keep tuning in.
It is. I don't know. We talk about this whole thing. You touched on it in terms of the problems that nepotism causes, because you're sitting here and you're going, okay, well, you've got Donovan Raiola's guys protecting Dylan Raiola and not necessarily doing a very good job of it. And how does that reflect back on Donovan? What are Dylan's thoughts? What's the overall family's thoughts? It creates a weird dynamic.
It does. Really weird dynamics.
But and I look when you see, what's the brother's name?
Oh,
the younger brother.
I even forget. I should know this.
Younger Raiola. I keep wanting to say Dayton. It's a lot of D's in the family.
There is. You can keep talking, though.
Anyway, uncomfortable pause there. I'm waiting for somebody in the room to come up with Dayton. I was right.
You were right.
Dayton. I'm like, cities in Ohio.
And trust me, somebody on YouTube is going, you got to do a Husker podcast and don't know the guy's name? Yeah, because we have brain farts every once in a while.
I don't know the name of all the...
I forget the name of my kids sometime, and I only have 4 of them.
So... It's like I've been talking about my kids and one of the pets' names comes out.
See, it happens.
So, CTE's for real. It would be interesting. And part of me though does kind of do this whole, okay, well, let's work a what if here. Because let's say Donovan does, I don't think it'd ever be a situation where he gets fired. It's
time to move on.
It's, hey, Donovan decided he kind of wanted to, felt he was too close to the situation and wanted to remove himself from that situation and has a consulting gig in the NFL.
I mean, something's got to change. Something has to change for the Nebraska offensive line. Has to change.
And I mean, I look at, and especially, and it's now part of me is torn because I look at the interior line play. And for the most part, even in games like last night, I thought Spindler and Evans and Lutoski played a reasonably solid game. My bigger issue is at the tackle spots. And it was not Pritchett's best game at left tackle. I still think he's the best tackle we've got. I mean, some of it's hard for me to even call it pass blocking that I see from Corcoran. I'm sitting here going like, you got a guy who's been there for
20 years.
I mean, at least 6 seasons now. And I'm like, holy cow, this guy is just getting absolute whiffed. And I'm thinking back going like, I was a run blocking offensive guard that played left tackle for 4 years in Lincoln. And I'm sitting here going like, I don't remember myself ever whiffing as bad as that guy consistently whiffs on pass protection. And I'm like, this is all we've got. And I understand the injury issues. I understand Gatula's out. I understand Teddy's out. But this is all we've got? I mean, okay, take Oregon, for instance. At offensive tackle, they've got, I think it's a 3rd string guy on one side and a 4th string guy on the other, who are now their starting offensive tackles because of multiple injuries. They've just had a rash of them up there in Eugene. And I'm sitting here going like, okay, well, Oregon's got like a 3rd stringer or a 4th stringer that are now their starting offensive tackles. And that game was on right before the Nebraska game. So I was watching that one and I'm like, God, these guys are a couple of pretty damn productive.
They're going to tell you it's money, Rob. It's Nike money. They're able to pay for that depth, and you still have to develop the depth.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Okay, so here's an interesting thought to throw out there. There's only so much fucking depth you can buy in this day and age.
I would agree
with the current roster limits. You get what's the is it 110?
Yeah, and they're going to work down from that. It's kind
105, 100.
Yeah, it's a grandfathered thing, but yeah.
So it's okay. It's not like these are 150, 160 man rosters that are stockpiled anymore. You've basically got enough. I mean, you've got 22 starters plus your kickers. So we'll say 24. 48's a 2 deep. I mean, that's half your roster.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose technically you're going to go 4 deep at all positions. So there's your 105. There's your 100 or so players right there. But are you telling me that a team logistically can stockpile true Power 4 starter capable guys 4 deep? Or are you developing guys?
Oregon's developing guys.
And I think they're developing guys. I really do. I think Lanning and his staff are developing guys. And I just don't think we've seen. I mean, again, we're talking about guys who've been in Lincoln
a long time.
For 5 or 6 years for guys.
And they haven't developed.
And they haven't.
And who's been the consistent one there?
The coach.
The coach. I mean, Matt Rule, you can say they're getting better. I think they plateaued this year. Not saying they won't get better, but he's got some tough decisions to make.
And I understand the injuries play into it. And I'm not talking about just the injury to
I know you're
Raiola.
not.
I understand injuries play into this, but I'm like, why haven't we seen Knock or Bricks or some of these other guys sledge on a more consistent basis on that offensive line? When I feel like these are guys we should have seen out there playing a hell of a lot more than what we have.
What do you think of the drama with Lane Kiffin, who now says they're going to make the announcement the day after the Egg Bowl, whether he's going to stay at Ole Miss or go to Florida or go to LSU? And it's starting to look like LSU more than anything. What do you think of that? I mean, you had Nick Saban. I think you had Rick Neuheisel all said, hey, we need to put a stop to this stuff, meaning they need to go to NFL-style rule where you can't contact a coach until the season is over. Well, then you're going to have to change the recruiting calendar. You're going to have to change a lot of things when it goes with that.
Because with the NFL, all player personnel moves are all happening in the offseason.
Yeah.
So free agency, draft, et cetera, all of that's coming after the season's over. Makes it really, really easy. With recruiting, it changes all of that stuff. So I don't know. If I'm Kiffin... Okay, so I don't know, producer Owen or Lizzie, can you guys look up what is Lane Kiffin's current contract numbers right now, years and dollars?
I think he's making $8 million. I think at the University of Mississippi, because my daughter works there, they have a state law where you can only have a certain amount of contract.
Gotcha, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Either do I. I think it's a really good thing, actually. It's fiscally responsible. Now,
Is he really worried that he's going to have some kind of fall off?
Okay, through December 31st, 2031.
This is why you need to hook up your microphone, by the way.
And then $9 million a year, up to $2.6 million in bonuses.
So Lane Kiffin, $9 million a year, up to 2.6 in bonuses through 2031.
And
so that's another 5 years. 5 years
yes.
from now, which is late 2025.
And Ole Miss has said they will match anything that LSU and Florida throw at him.
I would never, unless you're sitting there and going, I hate Oxford.
Oxford's one of the most beautiful cities in the country.
Yeah. I mean, unless he has some burning desire to live in Baton Rouge or Gainesville, which I've been in. I've never been to Baton Rouge.
It's not as nice as Oxford. I'll tell you that right now.
And I've been in Gainesville, and it's okay. I mean, it's a southern
redneck.
Town.
All three of them are redneck.
Yeah,
no, Oxford's, believe it or not, Oxford's the least redneck of those three.
Totally get that. I really do.
I know. I think people would be like, "You're kidding me." I go, like, no, Oxford is the least redneck of the three.
I would 100% believe that.
And Gainesville might be the most redneck.
Yeah, totally. It's
nothing against you rednecks who listen to the show, by the way.
No, I mean, it's like that. We're Nebraskans talking.
Yeah, we're pretty redneck ourselves.
We're like Western redneck. Yeah, we're like the third whitest state in the country after the Dakotas. Anyway, we're pretty freaking redneck. Gainesville, that is serious redneck. I mean, that
Florida-Georgia line is interesting.
It is. Which I got a daughter who lives down there, so Tallahassee's right there in the mix. Gainesville is probably more. So Gainesville is like Gainesville looks at NASCAR and goes, "You're not redneck enough."
Or it used to be. It's not anymore. You're like, you disappoint us because you're not as redneck as you used to be.
Exactly. So why would you? I just, if Ole Miss is sitting there going like, fuck this shit, we'll match anybody.
Why would you leave?
I'm never leaving.
I'm kind of with you on that.
And it's a good fit.
It's been a great fit.
He's going to win 9 to 11 games every year. And every few years, he's going to be in the hunt for a national title. I mean, I look at him and I'm like, dude, he is a D coordinator and one quarterback away from a national title hunt. I really believe.
I don't disagree with you.
And if I'm him, I don't know why I would leave. I don't know. I mean, okay, so let me ask you this. You're making $9 million a year. I know what I make. I'm a doctor. I'm doing pretty solid. It would take a fair amount of money to change my lifestyle currently. Like it's one of those things, like to see a jump up in lifestyle, you hit a point where it's like, okay, yeah, like I would need
a lot of money.
Now, I'm not saying I'm like, I drive a Ford Explorer, by the way. So it's not like
but you are a cheap ass too.
I'm not like you.
But you're cheap.
I'm not like you that has a Range Rover. So,
did he just do that? It's a Land Rover.
Land Rover.
It's not a Range Rover. It's a Land Rover.
Is that Toyota?
Is the Range Rover Toyota?
Land Rover is the brand. Range Rover is the car.
Oh yeah.
Like
okay.
Runner is to Toyota. Range Rover is to Land Rover.
Is it a Range Rover?
No, mine's a Land Rover.
Who's the Brit? It's the British.
Yeah, the Land. Yeah, I've got the Land Rover.
You've got the British sport utility.
Yeah, a Defender.
God, it'd be nice to have that kind of disposable income.
Shut up. You're so stupid.
I got my Ford Explorer, bought it used, got a 2018, bought it in 2020, used.
I was going to get a new Chevy Suburban, but that was more than the frickin' Land Rover.
Yeah, whatevs. My car's not British. Freaking limeys.
Look at you.
Anyway, so my bottom line point is that you get to a point salary wise where when you're making $9 million a year, that's already generational wealth.
That's true.
You're like, I mean, I love my family. I love my kids. I'm fairly certain I will love my future grandkids.
You'll love them more, actually.
Yeah, you're probably right. I shouldn't say you're probably right. I know you're right. Okay, I'm not sure I care that much about my great grandkids.
Is it money or is it institutional support where you'll have a bigger fan base that can contribute more to an NIL to make sure that you are always on top? Mississippi's a poor state. Now there's money in Oxford.
Agreed.
Though
I guess my question though is, this is a sword that cuts both ways. Okay, we rip on Brian Kelly a lot and have on this podcast.
And deservedly so.
Okay, hold on. I should not call it ripping on him. We have at times been critical of Brian Kelly for a number of reasons. And I think the reasons that you and I have been critical of Brian Kelly have been reasonable.
Yeah. First of all, he was just a bad fit in Baton Rouge. Made 0 sense. From the minute he stepped on campus.
And he tried to, there was the whole tried to pull off the fake Southern accent. I'm just sitting here going, okay, this is not working. When he did that, I know this sounds really weird to try and predict something based upon this. But the moment I heard him try to fake a Southern accent, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, yeah, this is not going to ultimately work out.
And it didn't.
He had, how many years was he there for?
This was year 4, yeah.
So, he was...
So 3.5.
He was essentially like an 8 or 9 win a year guy.
Right around there, yeah.
Yeah. Big games. Florida State owned them for 2 or 3 years in those big off-season matchups with Florida State. He could just never quite do it down there. And I thought he was an okay fit at Notre Dame.
He might be a really good fit at Penn State. He might be a really good fit at.
A buddy of mine brought that up, and I thought it was actually an excellent idea.
Up in the Northeast makes a lot of sense. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with Lane Kiffin.
Here's my question.
Okay.
That sword cuts both ways. You go to LSU, and if you don't, Les Miles won a national title there.
True.
He got fired.
Ed Orgeron won a national title. Got
fired.
The
Brian
pressure.
Kelly showed up, never quite hit a 10, 11 win level.
Got fired.
Really got fired. I'm sitting here going like, okay, guys who have national titles got fired. Is that where, at some point, do I think Lane Kiffin could win or compete for a national title at Ole Miss? I think he actually can.
He will this year.
Yeah. So yes, he can. He's got them moving strongly in that direction. And he did it, in my opinion, in a fairly reasonably short period of time. 3-4 seasons?
Oh, this is year 6 or 7.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Took longer than I would have thought. But
he's on his 4th 10-win season.
Pretty freaking good.
Yeah, he's on his 4 of the last 5 or 3 of the last 4. He's won 10 games.
Okay, so let's say he stays there and becomes the Tom Osborne of Ole Miss and wins 10 games every year for 15 years. You're an instant Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. He's going to be a Hall of Famer anyway, but
why would you leave that? The generational money is there. The ability to win is there. The chance at a national title is there. Why would you leave that to go to a place that is just, there's places that are cutthroat. Florida is cutthroat. LSU is cutthroat. Alabama is cutthroat. Texas.
Ole Miss is not
Texas
cutthroat.
A&M are cutthroat. Nebraska, kind of cutthroat.
It is.
Michigan and Ohio State. Penn State, cutthroat. Ole Miss, not very cutthroat.
No, it might become cutthroat because if he does leave and whoever replaces him is going to be expected to maintain that level of.
If you're the guy who, I was going to say Bob Osborne made it cutthroat, but really Bob Devaney made it cutthroat.
They were going after Osborne in the late. Even him in 78, 79 was I'm going to go to Colorado.
67 and 68, Bob Devaney went 6-4 back-to-back seasons. A group of businessmen in Omaha got together to try to get Devaney fired.
It's crazy.
69, they went to the Sun Bowl, had, I think it was a 10-win season, and then popped out 2 national titles. And I'd love to have a conversation with, God, they'd be like 110 now, but I'd love to have a conversation with somebody who is in that group of businessmen and from here in town that tried to get Devaney fired back in 68. What do you think about that move in hindsight? But if Ole Miss is cutthroat, it's because Lane Kiffin made it that way. He doesn't have anything to worry about at Ole Miss.
All right, before we get out of here, it's time for we rarely do this. In fact, I think we do it once a year. We make a prediction on the game because of the friendly rivalry we have. Give me a final score for. I'll give you mine. Iowa wins 17-14. 17-14 Iowa.
31-17.
Who?
Iowa.
Wow. You just shocked the hell out of me. You've never picked Iowa. In the years we've been doing this, you've never picked Iowa to win.
I don't think we can stop their run game. We haven't, for the most part, we have not stopped anybody. Any team that Nebraska's played that has had a fairly decent run game, we have not stopped it. I also think Iowa scores on special teams, and I think they get a defensive score.
Wow. If Iowa scores 31, they're winning. But, man, I think it's going to be a lot lower scoring than that. Rob rarely shocks me. He just shocked me. He probably shocked you. Wow. I'm almost speechless.
I think they get a defensive score. I think they get a special team score.
All right. There you have it,
when
folks.
I say special team score, I mean a return for a TD. I'm not talking field goals.
If you want to hear me talk about the game all week long, you can go to therushradio.com. I'm live each and every day from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning. You can find me at therushradio.com. You can find the Rush Radio YouTube channel. You can also follow us on X and Facebook and stuff. We'll find us there. But we'll be talking about this game all week long. Maybe we'll even bring Dr. Rob on this week and have a little conversation about the game.
Give me a call.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Buy your Gdefy shoes. When you need a lawyer, call Connor Orr. And when you need Husker gear, go to Husker Hounds. And, of course, when you need your Husker news, go to HuskerMax.com. For Dr. Rob Zatechka, for Owen Justice, I'm Travis Justice. We'll see you next week on the Husker Doc Talk Podcast.